Hey, loves. How's everyone doing? I'm always excited to be here with you live. And I know I can't see you, but I can definitely feel you. So if you are here with us, please let us know in the chat. I always like things to be interactive, but first and foremost, I just want to send out so much love out there because, I am aware of what's going on in the world, and there is so much going on, so much hate and division and divisiveness. So I just want to be here to tell you that I love you. I send you so much love, and I'm grateful that you are here with us because I know that there are so many other places you can be. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. And so we can continue to bring you the incredible guests that we bring you. Please like, share, and subscribe. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate you. I'm so grateful for this incredible community. Today, I am super excited to share our magical guest with you. I am Grace Redman, and thank you so much for joining me on another episode of Real Talk, where I get to have real life, raw conversations with incredible people from my circles and communities who overcome challenges and create amazing. I'm really feeling grateful today to chat with the incredible and magical Brandi Strieter. Brandi has navigated a transformative journey through adversity, confronting traumas and a chronic Lyme disease diagnosis. This path led her to a pivotal moment of surrender, unlocking her ultimate liberation. With unwavering dedication, Brandi has emerged as a beacon of light for those in darkness. Her resilience and profound transformation have made her a powerful advocate for healing and empowerment. Brandi passionately illuminates the paths of others using intuitive guidance, energy healing, gemstone and breath therapy, and a holistic mind, body, spirit approach. She supports individuals in achieving authentic spiritual alignment and embracing their light. She is also my very good friend. Please help me welcome Brandi Strieter.
Hi, Grace. Hello, friends.
Yay.
Hi, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Oh, thank you so much for coming out to play with me today. I'm so grateful for you and just been witnessing your incredible journey. And so often, like, you have been my voice when I didn't know how to communicate things. So I'm so grateful to you. And I'm going to just be transparent. Just witnessing your journey over the last 6 years is just inspiring. And I already know that anything is possible, and witnessing it again through you is just reminds me that there's something so much greater than us out there. So thank you for coming to play today.
Wow, it's just such an honor to be that reflection, right? Because wow, I can't think of a greater gift to reflect to somebody and to others. So awesome. I'm so happy to be here. I can't wait to play with my friend Grace.
Yes. So I know, so we often talk about the work, right? It's like the work. We got to do the work. What does that mean? If someone's listening and just, what does the work mean? Because sometimes I'm like, the work.
The work. That's a great question. So when you were talking, what I heard was self-love, um, learning to love myself. And I think that that is the basis and the root of of everything that we're doing, right? And so the work, what could that the work, self-awareness, that's the work. Looking at our patterns, looking at our beliefs, looking at our behaviors, really getting silent and raw and honest with ourselves, with how we feel, right? And what our what emotions we're holding in our body, right? All of those pieces. That's the work. And those nuggets I have found kind of lead us to opening our heart and and trusting and loving, first ourselves, right?
Yes.
That we have to do that before we can love anybody else. So I think that's the work.
That's so true. And It's not easy to love ourselves. It takes time. And what I've learned, and I know through your experience, and I want to touch base on that, when we're not loving ourselves, our body feels it. And we're constantly, I know for me, it was, early on in my 20s and 30s, just my body was constantly in some type of pain,
Yes.
some
Yeah.
type of either if it was what they called carpal tunnel, which it wasn't. It was either
Mm.
my arm or my neck or my, there was always something. And it
Mhm.
wasn't until I started on my own transformational journey that I learned that our body does keep score.
Yeah. It's just
And I had to
amazing.
let myself, right, to start releasing the resistance that was in my body. But that was a
Yeah.
foreign concept.
Totally foreign. Um,
What does
yeah.
that mean? Love yourself. Well, I do love myself. That's
Yeah.
why, like, I'm not setting boundaries and I'm a people pleaser. So I didn't realize that behaving in that way, those behaviors were a lack of self-love. I thought it was just normal.
Totally. And I mean, think about the environment that we grew up in and are surrounded by. And, it's a go, go, go and push your feelings down and don't cry. And all of those pieces that, especially us women and mothers and caregivers and all those who are in that nurturing role, we tend to give to everybody else first, right? And that's rewarded in our culture.
For sure.
Um, and that's a really hard thing to wrap your head around. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm navigating it right now, taking care of a child with an injury. So it's a constant growth process, right? Of of choosing self love. And when you were talking, what dropped in, I just wanted to share. So I still do mentoring with our mentor, Sunny Dawn Johnston. I had mentoring yesterday, and what I share with her, and this is I haven't told you this, just came up yesterday, but and this is totally vulnerable, and I'm going to feel emotional, but what came was that it was easy, like it was easier for me to learn to love myself when I was sick, when I was
Mm,
overweight, and when I was bald and all of the things. And like we think that's hard. Like that was really, really hard. And now as I'm stepping more into health and wellness and my body's changing, right? And my hair's coming back and all of the things, I'm like, we're going back around again to the beginning. We're learning how to love ourselves this way. So
mm.
I'm really noticing that it's evolving, right? That self-love piece is evolving.
So tell me a little bit more, because what's making it harder now to love yourself, that you're stepping into a healthier version, emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, a healthier version of yourself? What's making it harder?
Yeah, that's a great question, Gracie. That's a great question. What's making it harder is there's more attention,
Mm,
there's more energy, there's more light on me, which is, it feels like I'm being called more into um, yeah, I'm being seen more, right? I'm
mhm,
being called more into it, and that can be uncomfortable. And what it really brings up, and I'm having self awareness, just kind of observing it, but it's really bringing up like worthiness and deservability, right?
mhm.
Like it was
Yeah.
okay. I can love myself, the sick, heavy, unattractive, whatever the words are. But now there's this new version stepping forward, and can I love that new version too?
Mm. So what, like, I'm just going to ask you a question.
Okay.
What's the resistance around that? Because I hear what you're saying. It's like it's hard to be. What's scary about? Well, because you rode on this journey with me for years.
Yeah.
What's so scary about being seen? 'Cause I feel you.
Yeah. And parts of me are really seen. Like, look, I'm here talking on, like I'm an open book. So I do feel like I am pretty open, and I feel pretty grounded and centered with visibility, and it's uncomfortable. Like it's okay. Growth is uncomfortable. It can be
Totally.
good and uncomfortable at the same time. Like, I mean, I just remember back in the day, our first time we ever did a live. Like,
Yeah,
guys, you like,
I know. It took me 3 years. So people that are watching and you want to do something exciting, let me tell you, it took me 3 years to get comfortable to do a lot. And that was my homework from my mastermind for 3 years.
yeah. I mean, like, do you remember? So it's just,
Terrified.
it's okay. It's okay. Like, it's just, I'm reminding myself it's okay to be new at things.
Totally.
It's okay to be learning. It's okay to be growing. Like, there's this idea or this story somewhere, and I don't know where I'm, that it has to be perfect and I have to be right and I have to have it all figured out and all of the things. And so it's a constant reminder that, I'm learning. I don't know. I'm learning how it is to be this new person. She's new. I'm just
I
meeting
get
her.
it. And it's uncomfortable. I feel like I'm uncomfortable most of the time.
I I
I
think that we learn to be okay. Like, I think that we do a really good job now about trusting the process and following the signs and the breadcrumbs and, our heart nudges, right? I think we do much better at following our guidance. And so I think that that builds confidence, right?
yes,
So that when these things do happen, we get back on track a lot faster, I feel like.
that's right. I based on my experience, the more I took risks, the more uncomfortable I was, the more I failed, and then, got, over whatever fear I had, the more confidence I built. And so I'm constantly trying new things, and I'm in a position now where I'm trying new things, and I'm terrified, and it feels scary, and I'm uncomfortable. And I know based on my past experiences that it's in a few months, it's going to feel more comfortable, and then there'll be a new experience.
But just watching your evolution though, Grace, like, I'm sure the people that are watching the replay too, like I remember your first couple of podcasts and just watching your introduction now versus a year ago. Like it was good back then, but you're more comfortable, you've grown into the position. So so that you're holding your energy differently. And it's so beautiful to watch and celebrate each other's progress. Like this is what the fun part is.
And that's why I love, this show, because it's about celebrating, these incredible people from my circle and community. Because I don't think we don't celebrate ourselves or each other enough. We have these, the media, and of course you have these, big people that you're watching, yet we miss that in our circles and communities, there are so many incredible individuals that are doing great things every single day. And they really need to be recognized and celebrated. And I love that. So a little bit, because again, major transformation from, when you were with us in 2021 till today, that was, a few years ago. Tell us a little bit about the last couple of years, because you just kind of broke out. I've seen your healing and transformation over the years. It's just over the last 18 months, it just went on, just blew up. Was there something that inspired that, or was it just so much in the background? Because sometimes like we see this happen and we think it's overnight.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't overnight. And what I found, and first, thank you. Thank you for seeing me and celebrating my progress. I'm learning to celebrate my progress too. Yay.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like, okay, today's the day that I'm going to start being different. It wasn't like that. And it was more of, I started doing this work really seriously back in 2016 is when I started. And like you, I dove in head first. And because I think that we all kind of wake up to wanting something different at different points in our life, right? Sometimes it's the end of a relationship, or it's a job, or a friendship, or an illness. Like there's so many different things that kind of bring people looking for more, right? And in my case, it happened to be disease in the body. And so I think for me, because it affected my physical body first, that's where I needed to start. And so for several years, really, I focused all of my healing on the physical body, just to get enough life force energy back, to get healthy enough, well enough back to be able to kind of focus on other stuff. And
Mhm.
so while I was healing my physical body is then when I started mastermind with you and mentoring and joining a community, the Elevate community. And it was during those years then I started really bringing in the whole mind, body, spirit healing. Um, but it would have, in my situation, for sure, I couldn't have done it all. Like, there's just so much. Right? You start small. It's
Right.
really like they're baby steps. Baby steps lead to big changes, and it's the little bitty things. What really helped for me was when I started movement and exercise. And not so much because the exercise, I mean, yes, it's healthy for my body, but more so because it helped get me centered and grounded and present, and practicing, mindfulness, and started to learn to move energy. So it was kind of like, okay, we do physical, and then we do a little bit emotional work, and then we do a little bit of energy work, right? And then I did some spiritual work, right? And then kind of like learned how to, over the years, integrate all of that
Mhm.
into holistic healing, right? And so I think for sure it's like those, and you talk about this all the time, but it's that morning routine, and it's our patterns, and it's those everyday little pieces that add up that create this big transformation. I think that we're just seeing it in the physical, like with my hair growing back and losing a little bit of weight. I think we're seeing it in the physical as a result of all of the other stuff that had been done previously. Right? It
It's a
just took some
it's a
time.
compound effect,
Yeah.
um, which I've experienced, and I want to share with the audience. I know that we started the introduction with this. The doctors had given you a Lyme disease diagnosis,
Well,
and
first they didn't give me a diagnosis. They told me I was crazy. So
that's what.
first, so I mean, that's
Right.
now I say it very casually, but it was a very big piece of the story. Yeah. So there was no diagnosis. There was, you're crazy. You're looking for attention from your husband. You're
Yes.
unhappy. You need a psyche valve. So that was the route that I took. And then after doing some deep spiritual work, then I was led to a holistic doctor, a naturopath MD, who then did start looking for other things. And that's when Lyme disease was ultimately found.
And so the doctors are telling you, okay, like, you're crazy. What you're experiencing is all in your head. And our thoughts could go to, okay, maybe they're right, maybe this is in my head, and just you know prophesize whatever they're saying. What was it in you that chose to dismiss what they were telling you? Because someone else would run with that and just say there's nothing left I can do and fall into the victim role.
That's another great question. It's like this is an invitation to go back in time. Um, do you know? And of course, when you're in that situation, like, I didn't have awareness at the time. I didn't have a higher connection. I didn't have a higher perspective. I mean, I was very ill. I had very little life force energy. So I was just hanging on. I had just
That's
enough
why
energy
I'm
to hang
asking
on.
that question, because you're saying you had no awareness, you didn't have the life force
Mhm.
energy, but there was something.
But I knew. I
See, I
knew.
mean, there was
I knew.
something.
I knew. I had like, there was something, but I didn't know what it was. I hadn't been introduced to it. I didn't trust it. Um, but there was something greater than me, because I knew without a shadow, like, it never even crossed my mind that they were right. I knew, my soul knew. I knew I was dying. I was dying. I kept telling people I was dying. I was dying. Like, I knew it. I felt it. It was just a matter of time.
Mm,
Um, and so I knew that piece. And the other piece is, and I don't talk about this a whole lot, but I was in law enforcement. I was a probation officer for over 10 years, and I supervised mental health offenders. Like, I'm very familiar with mental health professionals, and so yeah, I knew.
You knew.
I
And then
knew.
you are today.
Yeah, I knew, and then I had to surrender. So I had that knowingness, and then it didn't happen overnight, but I knew that they were wrong. And it was at that time that I knew that they were wrong, that a part of me accepted that I was not going to get help, that this was going to be the end. And because of that, and because of that experience, and I don't know if I've even told you this, but I did go home. I have a journal in my nightstand, and I wrote my children, who were young at the time. This was, 2016. I wrote them letters about how hard I was trying to fight, because I just didn't want them. And now I can feel the emotion coming. I
Oh,
It felt like, and I don't know if this is their experience or not, just my own experience, but it felt like, well, nobody believed me. And it felt like I didn't want to die with everybody just thinking I was not trying to fight, when when I was fighting so hard to stay alive. And I think it was in that. And again, I didn't know. I didn't know what I was doing. It's not like I didn't even know about intuition. I didn't know. I just started writing. But I think that action step of moving that energy for the first time, really, because I thought I was going to die. There was no hope. They sent me home. Was, looking back now, a surrender,
mm-hmm.
and a real divine call for help, like, without really knowing what I was asking for. Right. And so it was then that I was very quickly guided, after that surrender, to the naturopath MD who ended up saving my life.
It's an amazing story.
Yeah.
You know what else is amazing? What's coming up is, so maybe we believe we're not connected or we're not aware, but I'm getting emotional. But spirit, source, the energy is always with us. Like, even if we're not aware, because I remember as a child too, going through hard times, or as a young adult, even though I was disconnected, wasn't aware, I was, here,
Mhm.
that whatever you want to call it, is always with us.
Well, and I don't. This might get a little woo woo, but I'm going to share it,
Yeah, whoa,
because
whoa, girl.
again, I wasn't part of this world. I was an atheist back at this time. I was an atheist, people. Like, this is not my thing, right? So it wasn't during that time, but later, after I opened up, and after I opened my heart and connected to my higher self, which was a process. My angels, my team of light, I like to call them my team of light, my spirit guides, my ancestors, my mama, came back and kind of told me who was with me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the angels actually did that for a variety of occurrences in my life that were extremely traumatic. They've come back one by one to kind of show me and remind me that I was never alone. I didn't know it at the time. I didn't know it at the time. But I think I felt it if I look back.
I believe that, because I can, that resonates, because I didn't, if you had said these things to me years ago, I would think like, okay, that's insane. But I had those experiences, and there is something when you're in your darkest hour, just something comes over you to help you. And you said guides, angels, spirit. And once we gain that aware, in my experience, once I gain that awareness, it becomes, I feel it more often.
Mhm.
And then that's where the trusting comes, and the surrender, and trusting the process. And it's still not easy. And that is for me, that is the constant challenge, is just trusting the process, trusting everything that's unfolding is unfolding for the greater good. But that's not easy to do in the world that we live in.
Oh, no, especially now, like you were talking about in the introduction, like
Yeah.
we are being taught, I feel like we are being really taught how to hold our own energy, right? Anchor in that energy, be a present force, be a lighthouse, be the awareness and the inspiration and the hope that there is a different way. There is a better way. There is a new world. There is expansion, right? I mean, yes, all of this stuff is going on, and
It's real.
we're also growing and expanding at the same time.
Yes. And the other thing I've struggled with, I definitely believe love is the answer. I really do. And there are times that sometimes you have to be tough, with boundaries and holding people accountable. And, growing up, that was like, oh, well, that's not nice. What I'm learning is holding those boundaries, holding people accountable, speaking your voice. That's a form of self-love. It's not being a bad person. It's not being the B word. It's like, if I do this, if I'm coming from tough love, it's not only because I love myself, it's because I love you too. So sometimes, I believe love is always the answer, and love may also be tough, like tough. Like I'm going to do this hard thing because I love you.
Because I love you and I love me enough to do the hard thing, right?
Right. Right.
And when we show up as our best selves, right? And then we give an invitation and we give permission for other people to do the same.
Yes, we do. And going back to being seen, I've had a challenge with that again this year. And I've had to cocoon and, go within, because of, circumstances happened that I didn't feel safe. So I no longer wanted to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of took me back to the original, patterns of behavior. And again, just working through another layer of that. And based on my experience, the other thing that I've learned, as we grow and expand, our core patterns might come up again for us to do it a different way.
I'm sorry. Yes. Yes, they might. Gracie's so cute. They might come up again. No, I'm telling you, they're going to come up again and again and again and again until we clear them and get them right. Right.
And it's really annoying. It's really annoying because I'm like, I thought I had this. Like, I have a podcast and it's been 3 years I've been doing this. Why am I terrified to show up? I'm like, oh, it's just another layer of, healing that needs to be done. And each time we peel that layer of healing, in my experience, I always come out stronger and more confident. And then some other shit comes up.
Yeah.
And I'm uncomfortable again.
Yeah. And I really think like the more that we can, and this is, I kind of teach this and work on embracing it, is the more that we can kind of embrace these obstacles, these challenges, I call them growth opportunities, the more we can embrace them and first recognize, like, and identify them, right? That's half the battle right there, is recognizing, oh shit, this is a growth opportunity, instead of, why is this happening to me? And creating all the story and energy around it. But if we can begin to look at things like as an invitation to kind of get it right. Like, we've been given the tools. Like, I try to make it a little game with myself. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It doesn't always work. But I try to be a little bit playful, a little bit lighthearted. Like, okay, so what am I meant to learn this time? Where can I see some growth and expansion? And then the other thing is to be able to follow that up, because I just wanted to point out what, Gracie, when you're like, I've done this before. Like that's what we do, right? Our old pattern comes back, and then we start with that critical voice, and we shame and judge, and we're learning to release that. Be like, yep, I did it again. Yep, this is what it is.
Yep. And whose voice is it? I have to always ask myself, like, is it my voice? Is it whose voice is it? And that helps me, quite a lot to recognize, okay, that's not my voice. It's the little girl who's hearing the voices outside of her, and that really helps me.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's okay for us to, I guess, what's the words I'm trying to use? Like, it's okay to go under the covers. Like, it's okay to feel some kind of way, feel down, feel, just defeated. Like, it's okay. I don't have to get up right away. And I feel like we want to get back to normal so quickly, which the new normal is going to be, it's never going to be normal. It's always a new normal, that we don't give ourselves that time to really integrate what's going on. Because like you said, it's a go, go, go.
Mm-hmm. Which is where illness and injury come in, is just what I
Right.
heard. Because so when we don't give it the time, which raise your hand, like I went out of it as fast, like, hello, I'm human, right? Like I
Yeah.
hear you. You're totally right. And
Yeah.
so, and then we wonder why spirit, why we broke our foot, or why we came down with illness, or why we were isolated, or, why we tested positive, or whatever the thing that kind of led us to being under the covers for a little bit, which is great. I mean, emotions are neutral, and they're all welcome, and they're all valid.
Absolutely. And what I learned, because I was trying, after my own thyroidectomy, and they told me I would never be the same again. Like, I feel better than I've ever felt. But it's also because I'm really been working on it emotionally. I've been working on my emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual fitness. Like, that's been my and when as I look back, I did give myself the time, but what I would do different is really allow myself that time. Because in my, like, I gave myself the time. I'm like, okay, when am I going to get better? When am I going to get better? Because when we are cocooning and resting, that's where the real magic unfolds. Our nervous system relaxes, and then that's when we allow the magic to unfold. And I don't want to miss that this next time. Well, I don't know. I mean, life's going to happen.
Well, and you came back. You're like a shining star. You came back $1,000,000. So I just wanted to point that out too. So, again, whoever they are, and whatever they are saying, is just one perspective.
That's right.
And we are the generator of our energy, and we are the director and the producer and the actor of our life, right? We're the creator of our experience. And sometimes that's forgotten, and we give that away to, unknowingly, we give that away to people or things or systems that are in authority, right? Instead of kind of taking that time, like you're saying, and going within and feeling and tuning into our divine essence.
Yeah. And I also know, because we're human, and like you said earlier, we fall back into certain patterns. And I know that we both have children at home that need a little extra attention right now, and falling into, the caretaker. Or for me, I feel like, okay, I've gotten a little bit depleted. How can we continue to show up for ourselves while we're showing up for others, holding the space, and doing it all? Because it's not sustainable.
Oh my gosh, this, like, my answer today is totally different than it would have been a month ago. My son came home from college the first week he was home for summer break. He tore his ACL, and so ended up having full repair surgery, and it's a major recovery. And I was not expecting that. That was not in my plans for this summer. Um, and I'm honored and grateful that I can help and support him. And what I recognize now, kind of going through the process, we're 4 weeks out of 4 weeks post-op now, and there was 2 weeks before, so it's been about 6 weeks. So I recognized I was seriously moving through depression, and I have not experienced that in several years. And I didn't know what it was when I was in it in the beginning. It took a couple weeks. Um, but the feelings of irritability
Mhm.
and resentment and um, not being able to do what I wanted to do, having to put everybody else before me, like those type of stories I was telling myself in my head. What I recognized is, wow, those were from 10 years ago when my boys
Oh,
were
I
young.
lost. Oh, there you are.
Oop, am I here?
Yeah.
That those stories were from 10 years ago, right? When my
Mm,
boys were young, that were popping back up now
yes.
that they're both
Yeah.
adults, and giving me, and I didn't know it at the time, but giving me an opportunity to kind of clean up my energy around some of that. And so
Mm,
what I did recognize is, I thought that I spoke my truth. Like I think we think we're like, you know, my perception of how I was doing changes as I evolve. Let's just say that. Um, and what I found myself is really being called into speaking up more than I ever have before, and and asking for more help, and getting louder when I wasn't being heard, and getting angry. And that is, I realize, not something that I'm really comfortable with doing with my family.
mhm.
And so all of these things were kind of being brought up in the last few weeks for me. So, oh, it's so great because, it's living life and learning lessons, and it's really hard. It's a really hard time. And to answer your question, to get back to what helped me, oh my gosh, community. Like I need community, and I need believing eyes. I need people um to be able to hold space and support me while I take care of my family, right? Because you and me and probably most of the people watching are those people in our family that take care of everybody,
Yes.
right? And
Mhm.
so what I'm learning, and what I learned moving through the illness, is back then I was looking at my family to fill me up.
Mhm.
I thought it was my husband's responsibility, my children's. I thought it was my family. Like, I thought that I would get my life force energy from that. And what I'm learning is I need more, right? In order for me to show up and love the people that I care about so deeply, my family, I need support behind me, right? So
Yes.
I need people like you, right, in our little mastermind group, and I need people like Sunny, and I need my community, and I need support behind me so that I can stand tall and be
Yes.
that person in my family. And that requires asking for help and getting
Yes.
support and being open in community and not isolate. Like, so it's all of the things.
All those things that we were taught was, at least in my world, weak.
Yeah.
You don't ask for help. You don't reach out to community. You do it all yourself. And boy, is that exhausting. It's exhausting.
It's straining.
Yes. And what I loved what you said, because I'm noticing this is happening for me as well. Like these patterns are coming up again, and I'm recognizing them. I'm like, okay, that was then, this is now. And you're right, it's a way to clear them. Because
Mhm.
as we clear those old stories and patterns, we open up room for more empowered stories and to move us forward into our future self. And so now it's like rewriting the story, and I play life as a game. For me, it's a game at this point.
Mhm. Well, and I just wanted to, so what came when I was, and a bonus consequence, which, like, I didn't even know, because we don't know what we're doing,
I'm
my
just
son,
playing a game. I have
right?
no clue.
My son um, is changing his behavior too. So
Mhm.
as he watches me, and this is like, we're not talking about it, this is all unconscious, right?
Right.
But while
Totally.
But while I step more into my power and speak my truth, what I'm recognizing is he's doing the same.
Absolutely. I see that in my
Like,
family.
and I just stand back and watch, and I'm reminded, like, oh, he's finding his voice because I found mine.
Yes.
And I just got full body chills
Uh,
when when I said that, and I think that maybe I needed to maybe I needed to hear that too. But it's so, so important, the work that we're doing when we stand up and do our own work, right?
yeah,
It affects more than just us.
yes. And that's the why.
Yeah.
And that's the why, because it's really it's not about me, because I can go live on a shack on the beach and that would be great. I think of the bigger, picture. It's like, you're right. And I've seen my family change, and now I'm getting emotional. I've seen my family change and evolve as I stepped into my power, as I had a voice. And then, when Mike took his, steps into his transformation, then I saw, the boys. And
Mhm.
that's why I keep moving forward. Like you said, it's not about me. It's about, we are that pebble, and then it ripples out into our families, and that's how we can make a better world. It starts with us. And for some reason, that concept is just lost, and we look outside and blame everyone else, when in reality we all need to look right here and take accountability for our own stuff to make
And it's
this
hard.
world a better place.
I mean, I get it. Like, when you're talking, like, I hear it. It's hard to choose you. It's hard. It's much easier to project and hate and
Yeah,
blame and point
it is.
fingers. Like, but
Because then
now
there's
we're
no
being called.
accountability. Because
Right.
then you have to feel your insecurities and your fears and where your lack is. Because we all have room for growth. And then who wants to admit that, oh, you know what, I kind of suck in this area. And I think that's when you can admit, like, I'm messy and I suck. Oh wow, that felt really good. I'm messy and I suck. What now? Bring it on. I
I
think
don't think
that's
it's back. I'm just saying.
well, I love you, but I feel like that's just liberating. Like, own your mess.
Yeah. I
Yes.
did want to ask because I haven't heard, but I hope your son is doing better.
He's better. I mean, he still can't put, any weight on his foot, and I know it's the last weeks of summer. But thank God he'll be fine too.
I have some crutches here if you need some.
Yeah, I hear him in the middle of the night. Chuk chuk, chuk chuk, chuk chuk. So no, they're amazing. And that's, I asked you about purpose, the other day. What's your purpose?
Yeah.
Can you share?
Sure. I was like, do you want me to say it again? Yeah, my purpose, and I know it with all my heart, just like I knew when I was standing in the doctor, and as she was attempting to pull my soul out of my chest, is what it felt like. I knew, I knew, I knew, I knew. My purpose is to be a bridge in this world. My purpose is to be a reminder of who we are, right? My purpose is to shine my light and hold the space and be believing eyes for those who want something different, right? Who are ready to step into new. I mean, we do this together. It's never been about being on our own. It's about doing this united and in community and team humanity. That's what this is about.
Yes, I'm there with you. And you're amazing. And what an amazing story, from near death to just shining brightly, such a light, teaching, showing up for others. And you're definitely an example of what's possible. So thank you so much for always being such a light. And it's been a pleasure witnessing your journey, because it's been incredible and inspiring.
Thank you, sister. And right back to you. I could say the same exact thing. So one day I'm going to interview you. When I get a podcast, we're going to flip this around and I'm going to get to interview you. So,
I love that. I love that. And I love you. And it's been just amazing. And really, I do believe anything is possible. Look, I'm not Pollyanna. I know there are just so many challenges in our world. And, especially for us living in the free world where we have these privileges, there's no excuse for us to step up and shine the light and be the voice for others. So thank you so much for being that light and that voice.
You're welcome. Love you, Grace. Thank you. And thank you all for watching.
Yeah, and don't go. So Brandi, can you let our audience know where they can find you?
Sure. You can find me on Facebook. So I'm Brandi Strieter, and there's my spelling right down there. And I also have a website. It's brandistreeter.com.
Yes, and Brandi does what do you do? Tell us.
What do I do? Well, I am a spiritual teacher, and I also do like energy sessions. I teach in Sunny Dawn Johnston's communities and in her Elevate community. I'm a community ambassador, so I'm kind of the go-between between Sunny and all of her communities, where I teach, shine the light, and support and help those who are ready to step into their higher selves.
Yeah, which Elevate is an incredible community. So what we'll do is we'll have your information, and we'll also put the Elevate information there for anyone who's interested. And please, if you have any questions, just put them in the chat. Brandi and I will see them. And as always, thank you so much for joining us. Really, I'm very grateful, because I know there are so many other places that you could be. And I really love what I do, and I thank you all for being here, and I look forward to seeing you again and wishing you all but nothing but blessings in the next week. All right, I love you. Brandi, hang on with me.
Bye, friends.
Take care.